Question is the House to now adjourn. I call the member for Hughes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. We finance many quasi-government organisations that we pay them taxpayers' money to give us frank and fearful advice without any spin or political bias. But I'd like to give two examples where two organisations are badly letting us down. Firstly, the CSIRO. In December last year, they put out a report titled Annual Update Finds Renewables Are the Cheapest New Build Power. Now I thought, yes, I heard the manager say, he's been convinced by this, he's obviously read the headline and that's give his opinion. But however, Mr Speaker, if you go into the data, how they came to this conclusion, and you look at the data assumptions that they made for the levelised cost of energy calculations, what they actually did, Deputy Speaker, they would hear the lifespan that they used for the capital costs. They get solar, large-scale solar PV, 25 years, and wind 25 years. Rather on the generous side, but we'll accept that. But when they came to coal-fired power stations, they only did this as a lifespan of 25 years. This is a complete and utter nonsense, Speaker. Everyone in the industry knows that the lifespan of a coal-fired power station is 50 years. So what the CSIRO have actually done in this report is double the capital costs of new coal-fired generation to give them a complete faulty report, which we see members over the other side of the chamber have swallowed hook, line and sinker, which results in the wrong information in the public and makes our job more difficult here, Speaker, and results in shocking misallocation of resources in our nation. Also, Deputy Speaker, in that they've used capacity factors for large-scale solar and wind ranging from 32% to 22%. Now, again, on the high side, and for wind 44% to 34%, again on the very high side. But they didn't allow any degradation of that over the 25 years. So this study is a complete and utter crock, Speaker. A complete crock. It is a shame the CSIRO have done something like this. Completely misleading, using completely faulty and inaccurate assumptions. The second one I'd like to draw the House's attention to is a report by the Reserve Bank of Australia, Financial Stability Review, October 2019. And in this they say, and I quote, "Physical effects of climate change can have a significant impact on Australian financial institutions. As an example, inflation-adjusted insurance claims for natural disasters in the current decade have been more than double those in the previous decade." Well, when you are looking at insurance loss over time, you don't just use inflation-adjusted data. You've got to adjust for inflation, you've got to adjust for the increasing population that we have, and you've also got to adjust for the increasing wealth that we have in our society. This process is known as normalisation, and it's well known in the insurance industry, and it actually says here, and I'll quote from a peer-reviewed paper, "Normalised losses are estimates of the costs if historic events were to impact current society and demographic conditions, and loss normalisation is a necessary step before attempting to draw any conclusions about trends in the cost of natural disasters and or climate change attribution." And yet we have the Reserve Bank ignoring the peer-reviewed research and simply going on, Deputy Speaker, and using inflation-adjusted data. Completely faulty methodology that they have used, which gives them the completely wrong conclusion. Because if we do look at the peer-reviewed research, what it says to insurance losses in Australia from extreme weather events, and I'll read from the peer-reviewed report, Normalised insurance losses from Australian natural disasters, 1966 to 2017. And it says, and I quote, "When aggregated by season, there is no trend in normalised losses from weather-related perils. In other words, after we normalise for changes we know have taken place, no residual signs remain to be explained by the changes in occurrence of extreme weather events, regardless of the cause." That is the peer-reviewed science, and yet we have the Reserve Bank of Australia, one of our most respected organisations, putting in one of their official reports using a dodgy analysis to give us completely the wrong conclusion. Deputy Speaker, I call on all groups. We've got to look at the science. We've got to do this accurately, and we expect the advice to be fair, frank, and without any political spin or bias that we shamefully see here from the CSIRO and the Reserve Bank.
It being 8 p.m, the House stands adjourned until 9:30 a.m. tomorrow.